Hello and welcome to the VFM Podcast. I am, well, not quite here, but I'm connected with Carolina Martinez, a VFM colleague based in Madrid in Spain, and we're going to ask some questions about systemic coaching. So Carolina, welcome to the VFM Podcast. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us today. I suppose my first question is, we're going to talk about systemic coaching, but firstly, what is coaching? Could you define coaching for us?
Okay, yes, good morning. So when we refer to coaching in general, what we are talking about is a goal-oriented and a collaborative process that helps people to unlock their potential and achieve personal professional growth, okay? Mm-hmm. So a coach works with their client to identify goals, to overcome obstacles, and to prepare plans to move forwards, providing support through the journey. So coaching focuses on the future and empowers the person to find their own solutions. But when we are talking in a business environment, the coach works with an individual to identify their strengths, to address challenges, to look for alternatives, and create actions for success. Often, we focus on areas which might be blocking personal relationships, decision-making, communication, performance, efficiency. So, through using a questioning model, we help to unlock the person's potential and to drive sustainable growth within the organization. So it's basically about building self-belief and confidence and keeping out of the formula, blaming and criticism. So it really has an impact on long-term change.
Okay, so it's more about accompanying the person rather than sort of telling them what to do. If I could...
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Now, if that's what coaching is it important for a manager to have this skill, or is it something that a manager can use in a professional environment?
Yes, this is a good question, because you don't need to be a professional coach to adopt a coaching approach with your team. Mm-hmm. In fact, those managers that use it, they can better inspire the teams, they build trust, and they foster a culture of collaboration and growth with their people. So, and this might sound easy, but it is not when you are the manager, because you probably know or you have a good idea of what the answer to that problem or that issue might be. Mm. And you will probably feel tempted to tell your collaborator, because it takes shorter. And usually time is not what we have in a lot. Mm. So that might be tempting. But remember, when you are doing that, when you are telling your colleague the solution, then you are not coaching, you are advising.
Yes.
And that's against coaching. So when you give advice, you are taking responsibility away from the other person. So coaching is more about empowering the person to search for their own alternatives.
Okay, thank you for that. So that's what coaching is. Now, we said we'd talk about systemic coaching. So what does the systemic bit of that add to the formula?
Yeah. So the difference probably is that the systemic coaching is not so much focusing on the individual growth of a person, but also considers broader systems in which the person operates. So it takes much more holistic approach. Mm-hmm. It views individuals as part of a larger interconnected systems. And when we are saying systems, what we mean is families, teams, the organization, or my team as part of another team, as part of organization. So unlike the coaching we were describing before, so that often focuses on the individual, the systemic coaching recognizes that changes in one part of the system can impact the whole. So it is crucial to understand the context in which each person, each teams operate, including cultural, organizational, social factors. So there are some basic principles that we need to consider, is that the individuals and the teams do not exist in isolations. Their behaviors, their thoughts, And emotions are influenced by the rest of the system, and in turn, they influence the system they are part of. So by understanding these connections, the coaches can help their clients to navigate these environments more effectively. So coaching, this kind of systemic coaching, pays close attention to patterns, to their relationships with the systems. So we look for recurring behaviors and interactions that may be contributing to the client's challenges. For instance, if certain people consistently dominate conversations, it might have an impact in the team's cohesion. And in this situation, the coach works with the team to develop strategies that promote more balanced communication and collaboration. Also, another point to consider is the importance of multiple perspectives. Systemic coaches encourage clients to view situations from different angles. So this broader perspective can reveal hidden dynamics, opportunities for growth that might not be apparent from a single viewpoint. So Adam, we must be careful because this is about the systems of internal relationships and the connections with bigger systems. So it's not about solving a specific issue in the organization, but the relationships about them. And also we need to be careful, or we need to consider that we are talking, even if we are talking about teams, this has little to do with other kind of activities like team building. In systemic coaching, there is a previous work to have a diagnosis of the situation before any intervention is done, because this requires using specific tools.
Yeah, it's just you're having described. It's a big. Sounds like a big project. Then, if someone wants to implement this, a real broad view of not just the organization, but even wider sort of stakeholders and families. So, that's quite a big thing. So it sounds like a big thing. I guess the question is, what are the advantages of taking this approach or implementing such a situation? What can it give to an organization or an individual?
Okay, I would say since change is a constant in any team, in any organization, this systemic approach supports developing adaptability and resilience to navigate transitions. And we face disruptions more effectively.
Right.
So also is a good way of enhancing problem solving, because by looking at the entire system, systemic coaching helps identify and address issues from a broader perspective, leading to more comprehensive and sustainable solutions. It also improves workplace dynamics, because it fosters better communication and collaboration within the teams, and it enhances the overall workplace productivity. So also, and this is a very important point nowadays, systemic coaching promotes a culture of openness and trust. So it leads to increased psychological safety for the employees. Also, as a consequence, it contributes to employee retention, because it addresses systemic issues and improves organizational culture. So it contributes to higher employee satisfaction. And finally, I would say it offers deep insights into underlying hidden dynamics and patterns within a system, within a team. So it helps managers and also the HR professionals to better understand and manage their teams.
Yeah, okay. And the reverse side of that, are there any drawbacks to taking this approach?
Yeah, even if it offers many benefits, I would also say it has some potential drawbacks we need to consider. So It can be complex and challenging to implement, especially in large organizations with intricate systems. So this is why it's usually done by a professional coach from outside the business, from outside the organization, because he can look at the whole picture from a neutral perspective. It is difficult to do it from the inside. So also we need to consider this might be time consuming, because the process of mapping the whole system, the relationship, understanding the dynamics can take time. And I would also consider, or I would also give a thought to the possible resistance that the individuals and the organization might take. Because if they are used to more traditional ways of working, we need to explain it. We need to explain them in advance what is the why, what we are trying to achieve. So also we need to think that we cannot forget about the individual needs. If we only focus on too much systemic aspects, we may overlook this personal individual needs. So we need to be aware of the personal development requirements. And finally, we need to also to say it's not easy to measure the impact of systemic coaching. For sure, it will have an impact on the employee satisfaction survey, I would say. But if the organization doesn't have this tool to measure and they don't have it in place, so it will be difficult and it will be hard to assess its effectiveness, right? But despite all this, I think systemic coaching can be highly effective when the stakeholders, the key ones, really are engaged. They explain the why, and they have a clear understanding of what it can offer.
Thank you, Caroline. I mean, I think it's not a quick fix at all for a specific issue. It's more about, from what you said to me there, about building a culture, a better culture, a happier workplace, a more effective team, but over the long term, rather than just, we've got this problem, let's try systemic coaching, see if that'll fix it. It's actually a much more integrated and, I don't know, like a long-term program for business success, and also of course for the individual's own happiness and success for the individual. I think if that's a sort of correct summary of what you said there.
That's right. Coaching is never a quick fix, not for individuals and not for the organizations. And especially the systemic coaching, it can take a bit more of an effort, because it requires more people, more complicated relationships between different parts of the organization.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. We're running out of time, but if someone was interested in this systemic coaching approach, or even just the coaching approach, can you give me a first step very briefly? Or maybe it's phone VFM or phone VFM Spain. What's the first step if I want to know more about this, or perhaps think about implementing this in my organization?
Well, talk to us, and we will somehow make we will do an analysis of what the situation is. We will try to make a diagnosis. And we will let you know, because there are different tools, and coaching is not always the solution for everything. So we need to understand what is the situation, and then we will let you know what is the right tool to support you with it.
Caroline, thank you very much. I realise that's it's not nearly enough time to do full justice to the topic, but thank you for the introduction. I've said we have unfortunately run out of time, and thank you for being on the VFM podcast. It's always a pleasure to catch up with our Spanish colleagues. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much to you, Adam.
Thank you. And thank you. And we'll end there.